What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another video. My name is Evan. I'm the Maine motorcycle addict, and today we're going to be talking about the Harley Davidson-ish, kind of sort of Harley Davidson LiveWire ONE. By now, I'm sure that you're aware that Harley Davidson launched an all-electric bike back in 2019 called the LiveWire, and the LiveWire ONE is the next step in their evolution of electric motorcycles. As always with these 10 things videos, it's not a comprehensive list. I'm not going to be able to cover all of the things that you might want to know about this bike, but I've done my best to try to gather a bunch of helpful information from a few different sources and give you the 10 things that I think are pretty interesting about this bike. So let's get into the video and we'll learn whatever you need to know about the new LiveWire ONE. Alright, so the first thing that you need to know about the new LiveWire ONE is that LiveWire is now its own spin-off brand. That's why in the beginning I said Harley Davidson-ish. It is still owned by Harley Davidson, it's made by Harley Davidson, but they're going to be running LiveWire as its own separate brand. The reason they're doing this is because you've got Harley Davidson guys over here, and you've got people that want electric bikes over here, and there's a massive canyon in the middle of them. So Harley Davidson wanted to make its own brand that appeals to a different group of riders, and that's why they're going with the LiveWire ONE brand. It is brand new. They just launched it this July in 12 dealerships in 3 states, California, New York, and Texas. But what they're saying so far is that they're going to have an innovative retail model that's a hybrid of in-person shopping and online shopping. They're coming out with an app so you can order your bike online. So they're going to try to make things a little bit more convenient for the consumer that way. They are planning on rolling out a nationwide dealer network, but obviously that's going to take a bit of time. In the in-person dealers, they're going to have what they're calling experience galleries. I'm not 100% sure what that means. They haven't released a ton of detail on that yet, but it sounds pretty cool. I think it'll be cool. Another interesting thing that they're doing with this brand is called LiveWire Custom Finance. They call it ownership with options, and they don't list all of their different financing rates and terms and things like that, but they do say that it's going to allow owners to experience the latest LiveWire technology more easily through short-term leasing, and that seems pretty cool to me. I'm not aware of any motorcycle brands that are doing that currently. Maybe there are some out there and I just haven't looked into it yet, but I think that's a pretty cool thing. It's going to make it easier for a lot of people to swing a leg over one of these LiveWire ONE motorcycles. Before we go any further into this video, as always, I need to tell you about the sponsor for this video. And you guessed it, it is Big Moose Harley Davidson in Portland, Maine. They're a great group of folks over there, and the holidays are coming up. Maybe you need a gift for somebody on your shopping list. They have a ton of different little Harley Davidson signs, shot glasses, boots, hats, apparel, all kinds of things like that. So if you have a Harley lover on your shopping list for this holiday season, go ahead and stop by Big Moose Harley Davidson right on Riverside Street in Portland. And if the weather's not too bad, you can use your shopping trip as an excuse to try out a new bike. Maybe take a new bike that you've been looking at for a test drive. So make sure you plan your shopping trips on a nice warm day. Alright, let's get on to thing number 2. Alright, so thing number 2 that you need to know about is kind of a big deal. There is a massive price drop on the LiveWire ONE compared to the original Harley LiveWire. It is listed at $21,999, whereas the original LiveWire was listed at $27,799. It's a pretty big price drop right there. And another thing to keep in mind is there's federal tax incentives for buying an electric vehicle, and a lot of states also have incentives for buying an electric vehicle. So that can make the price tag on this bike less than 20 grand when you're looking at everything out the door. Alright, so thing number 3 that you need to know about the new LiveWire ONE is that it is what they're calling a bike with a pulse. What does that mean? Sounds a little weird, but it actually makes sense. What they've done is they put a haptic feedback system on the bike. On the original LiveWire, they had a haptic feedback system on the throttle so that it vibrated a little bit once you turn the bike on. They've changed it up a bit. They've actually put a little bit of a vibration in the seat to make it feel a little bit more natural and a little bit more normal to anybody that's used to riding motorcycles. This feature has 2 purposes. The first one is, like I said, to make it feel a little bit more natural, make it feel a little bit more normal. When you push the on button, it actually feels like something happened. The second reason they did it is because if you don't have any sort of feedback telling you that the bike is on, it's very difficult to tell if an electric bike is on because there's no motor running. So if you pushed the on button and didn't realize that it was on, you were talking to your buddy, you're sitting there on your bike, getting your helmet on and stuff, and then you just casually flick the throttle, it's going to shoot out from underneath you. And you're not going to have any warning that it's actually on if you've forgotten that you've turned it on. So it's a bit of a safety feature as well as a familiarity feature. The fourth thing that you need to know about the LiveWire ONE is that it is what they are calling a digitally connected bike. So with that app that I mentioned earlier, obviously they're using it for shopping purposes, so you can actually buy your bike or shop for a bike on the app. But the other thing it's going to let you do is connect with your bike mobilely. You're going to be able to stream directions straight to your bike, so you can have your Google Maps or whatever program you use or whatever program they use on the gauge pod, the little digital dashboard there on the bike. The other thing that it's going to be able to do is let you check status updates on your bike. If there's any sort of maintenance that's needed, if there's any errors or anything like that, it's going to pop up on your phone. And the other thing that you can do with it, which I think is really cool, is you can track the recharge status of your bike. So say you got your bike charging in the garage, you want to go riding, you're not really sure how far it's charged so far, so you just take out your phone and you're like, beep, boop, boop. Look at that, my bike's 90% charged. I'm gonna grab a coffee and then get my gear and go for a ride. So that's a pretty cool feature that they gave you. Obviously with this bike, they're trying to appeal to a more technologically savvy crowd, and I think that making this bike digitally connected, being able to stream things back and forth from your phone to your bike, I think that's gonna help them appeal to the audience that they're looking for. So the fifth thing that you need to know about the LiveWire ONE is instant torque. Now this isn't unique to the LiveWire ONE. It's a trait that all electric vehicles have. You're probably familiar with it from the Tesla. They're known for their incredible 0 to 60 times and their crazy acceleration. Because when you have an electric motor, as soon as you feed all the juice to that motor, you're getting all of the torque. You don't have to wait for RPMs to build up like you do with an internal combustion engine. So if you give that bike full throttle, you're sending all the juice you can to that motor, that's it. You got all the power that you need. So what does that mean? That means it'll do 0 to 60 in 3 seconds flat. To give you a little bit of a reference point, that's faster than a brand new Dodge Challenger Hellcat. It's also faster than a Mercedes-AMG GT with the bigger motor. That is a 520 horsepower 2-door coupe, and it takes 3.7 seconds to get from 0 to 60. So the LiveWire ONE will smoke it off the line. Now it is geared to prioritize acceleration over top speed. The top speed's limited by the gearing to 110 miles an hour. If you take one of these things for a test drive, like I said, full throttle, full power, from a standstill. So if you're gonna feed this thing the berries from a stop, make sure you're leaning forward and hanging on for dear life, because it is gonna take off like a rocket ship. The sixth thing that you need to know about the LiveWire ONE is that they sped up the charging rate. So now you can go from 0% to 100% charged in just 1 hour if you get the DC fast charger. If you don't get the DC fast charger, you can still go from 0 to 100% in 11 hours. And I know that sounds like a long time, but you got to keep in mind that they're aiming this bike at a more urban crowd, and they're anticipating it being used as a commuter quite a bit. So if you're using this bike as a commuter, you can easily go to work every single day, take it for a little joyride at lunchtime if you want, ride home, and plug it in at night without getting any sort of special chargers or having any sort of special electric wiring done, and fully charge the bike every single night. I'm sure as time moves on and as they keep advancing the technology through this LiveWire ONE brand, those charge times are probably going to come down. But seriously, 1 hour from 0% to 100% is a really good starting point. I was pretty impressed when I read that. I was thinking 3 hours with the DC fast charger and 18 to 20 hours on a regular wall outlet. So That's not bad. My stupid GoPro battery takes like 4 hours to charge if it's completely dead. So I think they did a great job with that. The seventh thing that you need to know about this bike is that they made it agile and aggressive. They designed this bike with a low center of gravity, so it feels very nimble when you're trying to lean it over, going from one corner to another. The other thing they did is give it a very aggressive riding position, so it's a bit more of an attacking position, a little bit more leaning forward. Your feet are a little bit further back, so it's a lot easier to maneuver the bike quickly and do more spirited riding. Now, I know as I'm saying this, there's probably some dude typing something in the comments right now going, yeah man, like, compared to my Yamaha R1M, that thing basically looks like a couch. Well, guess what? They're not trying to compete with your R1, alright? They're not trying to beat a Ninja H2 around a racetrack. When I say they made this bike aggressive, I don't mean compared to a super sport. I just mean think of like a naked sport bike, alright? That's kind of what I mean when I say this. It's not going to be the fastest thing on the road, but it is aggressive. They do want it to feel like a fun, aggressive bike. They got some help from Brembo when it comes to the brakes. It's got 4-piston dual Brembo radial disc brakes up front and a single Brembo brake in the back. They also gave it Showa, I don't know how you're supposed to say that. I'm going to say Showa adjustable suspension front and rear, so they give you a lot of opportunity to dial the bike into your liking. Thing number 8 that you need to know about the LiveWire ONE is it has a very good range. Now, good is sort of a subjective thing when it comes to electric vehicles. It has a 146-mile range. Now, one thing to keep in mind with electric vehicles is it's kind of backwards from traditional internal combustion engines. You're actually going to get better mileage when you're in a city, lots of stop and go, because it's not idling when you're sitting at a stoplight. You let off the throttle, nothing's happening. When you're on a highway and you're just holding it at half throttle for a long period of time, you're going to burn up a lot of juice a lot faster. So that's one thing that you do need to keep in mind. It's going to get worse on the highway. And like I said, 146 is a pretty good number to hit. Obviously, it's going to be different depending on what you're doing. If you're going up and down hills all the time, or if you're really getting after it with your right wrist and you're feeling a little frisky, it's not going to get 146 miles. Just not going to happen. But as a medium, middle of the road number, you could do a little bit better, you could do a little bit worse. It's a pretty good starting point. You can take it on a pretty good ride and still have a little bit of range left over. Thing number 9 that we're going to talk about with the LiveWire ONE is custom ride modes. So it has a few modes that come straight from the factory built into it. You've got like rain, sport, economy, performance, things like that. But you can also customize whatever modes you want. So you can turn the power regeneration all the way up. So anytime you're decelerating, the battery is recharging. You can turn that all the way off and turn acceleration and traction control up as high as you want or low as you want. You can do literally anything you want with the power delivery of the bike. It's completely customizable and you can personalize it to whatever you want to experience on your LiveWire ONE. And the last thing that we're going to talk about in this video is control. The LiveWire ONE comes with an advanced 6-axis IMU, which is an inertial measurement unit. So what that does is it gives the computer all types of information on the lean angle of the bike, the acceleration of the bike, if the front tire is coming off the ground, if the rear tire is coming off the ground because you brake it too hard with the front, all these types of things. So it can dial in the ABS, the traction control. It can actually make the traction control a little bit more intrusive if the bike's leaned over further, because it knows that you have less traction while you're leaned over than you do when you're straight up. It can do a lot of things like that to help give the rider a bit more confidence and keep you safer while you're out there on the road. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed these 10 things that we talked about the new LiveWire ONE and the LiveWire brand that's just coming out. If you did find this video helpful or interesting and you enjoyed it, why don't you go ahead and give it a like? That would be really helpful. And if you like all things two-wheel related, all things motorcycle, both on-road and off-road, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, because that's what this channel is all about. We just hit subscriber number 13. I'm kind of excited about that. I know it's not that impressive, but hey, we just started out and we're trying to get better at making videos and better at understanding what the audience wants. So the more of you that watch and comment on the videos, the better job I can do bringing you content. And hopefully you guys enjoy that. We can interact and get to know each other a little bit and share this crazy passion that we all have for all things motorcycle. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.